Recent retail price increases from several brands, as well as inflation, have caused the sense that there's not very many amazing luxury watches left to find for under $5,000. But that's not the full picture. Notwithstanding the declines in prices over the past 18 months or so, there have always been real gems hiding in plain sight for those willing to do a little bit of digging, show a bit of patience, and wait for amazing value picks to come to them. Here are 5 great finds for under $5,000 that represent great value for money. All the numbers in this video come from WatchCharts.com. Are you looking to browse listings from the biggest private sales marketplaces across the web? See insights on whether you're getting a good deal or not. Manage your collection and track its value over time? You can do all this and more on WatchCharts.com, the world's most powerful watch market research platform. Dive into the data yourself at WatchCharts.com. One of the hottest releases of 2023, without a doubt, has been the refresh of the IWC Ingenieur line. It's something that enthusiasts had been asking for from IWC for a few years, and it's definitely made a comeback, and in quite an impactful way. But a very common complaint has been that they seem to be overpriced for what the watch itself is, and therefore make for not the best value proposition. And so what we can do is, if we just go back one generation in the IWC Ingenieur line and look at the watch, for example, that Lewis Hamilton is wearing, which is from that generation, blinged out, of course, because it's Lewis Hamilton, but nevertheless, look at that previous generation, then the watch that I would like to propose as the first entry in this list is the Ingenieur Dual Time, reference 324404. The last known retail price for this, as of almost a decade ago, was $8,850. But actually on the secondary market, for most of the last 3 years, for example, this watch has traded around the $5,000 mark, and today is available around $4,700. In fact, here's a listing for one right around that price point, which comes without the box, but with the original papers. And it's a handsome looking watch. The case design, of course, is squarely within the Ingenieur line, with the 5 screws, the integrated bracelet, the hands, just the dial layout and the general look and feel of the watch. But then, of course, this one gives you dual time functionality. But if it's a dressier piece you're after, but one that you could nevertheless still dress down, then one of the perennial favorites has been Cartier. And of course, they have an extensive line of watches, but here specifically, we're talking about the Santos Dumont Extra Large on a strap, which is still in production. And so if you wanted to buy this at retail, you can, but it's a manually wound, steel-cased Cartier dressy piece with Roman numerals on the dial that trades just below $5,000 on the secondary market today. And in fact, if you wanted to buy one, Watchbox will sell you one for actually $4,500. And this is really one of those versatile pieces that, because it's manually wound and so classically styled, I think is very defensible as your dress watch, but nevertheless, in this contemporary sort of execution, is one that you could pull off just as easily casually with jeans and a t-shirt. Now, if you wanted to stay dressy, but get an 18 karat solid gold watch with a manually wound chronograph movement, then I think you could do worse than look at the Carrera 1964 Lemania 18 karat from Tag Heuer. This is the reference CS3140 from 1996 and has a current market price of $4,800. This bears repeating. This is an 18 karat gold cased manually wound chronograph. And that's kind of wild to think about in terms of the value proposition, because if you wanted to buy something that was modern with the same sort of execution, then you might be looking at a minimum a 5-digit price tag. And what makes this one especially worth noting is that the dial does not say Tag Heuer, it just has the Heuer word mark at the 12 o'clock position. And so from a sort of vintage throwback or a vintage callback standpoint, also, this is very, very classic looking. And in fact, here's one that's available on eBay right now from a seller in Australia that converts to, based on today's conversion rate, to a price point that's slightly higher than $5,000. But the reason I include this is twofold. One, just to show that there are, in fact, listings available around this price. And in fact, this one is a mint condition piece, unfortunately, without box and papers. But the other point worth noting is that there are listings that have recently sold for this watch at below $5,000 US. And so if you want to look at some of those listings, I would invite you again to dig into the model page for this watch on WatchCharts.com. With this next watch, I will fully disclose my own bias because I'm wearing mine as I record this. This is the Grand Seiko Shunbun reference SBGA 413. This is currently in production, and so if you wanted to buy it for $6,600 at retail plus tax in the US, you could do so. But on the secondary market, these now go for less than $5,000 after initially being available for over retail when they were first launched just as a US exclusive. And what makes this watch special is a number of things. It's the spring drive movement. It's the fact that it's fully titanium, and so it's incredibly light on the wrist. The bezel-less design is just a treat to look at on the wrist with the 62GS case design. And then the dial is, in my opinion, certainly hands down one of the most beautiful and stunning that Grand Seiko has ever done. Quite up there, in my opinion, again, with the original snowflake design. But of course, Grand Seiko offers tons and tons of options. Nothing this special is going to be available at retail below $5,000. There are some spring drive references that do go for less, but if you wanted something like this, that's full titanium and with a particularly special dial, then today, this is also available on the secondary market for less than $5,000. And in fact, when I first did the research for this video a few days ago, this listing that I found on Reddit was listed for $4,650, so solidly below $5,000. But in the time that it took me to actually get around to recording, it had actually sold. So it is the case that these watches are now transacting for this much. But if you'd like a titanium watch but would like to stay with a Swiss brand and consider, for example, this Omega Seamaster 300 titanium, then you're basically, again, looking at a market price of $5,000 for a watch that used to retail for $9,000. Now, this is listed as not in production, which may be confusing for a moment if you think that this is a watch that looks just like the one that they have in their current production catalog. But that is actually in steel on a steel bracelet. This, with a ceramic bezel insert, a sandwich dial, a META-certified master coaxial chronometer movement, is in titanium, I imagine, an incredibly light-wearing watch on the wrist, especially compared to its contemporary steel successor. And here's a listing, again, on eBay for right around $5,000 for this watch. So we've covered a dual-time watch or a traveler's watch. We've covered a dress watch. We covered a solid 18-karat gold chronograph. We covered two watches in full titanium, both with extra special movements, one from Grand Seiko with the spring drive, and then one from Omega, which is META-certified and has the coaxial escapement, further underscoring that there is incredible value to be found still in today's market at or just under $5,000. And of course, to some degree, the choice of the $5,000 mark as a threshold is arbitrary. But as we've seen for most of these watches, certainly for the ones that are still in production, but even for some of the ones that are discontinued or have long been discontinued, these used to retail or currently retail for considerably more than $5,000. And so the manufacturers certainly believe that these watches are worth more money, but for the conscientious buyer on the secondary market, there is incredible value for money to be found still under $5,000. What other watches would you have liked to see in this list, or would you like to find for less than that much money? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks again for watching.